play this.
Did tell Andrew Holness remember Jamaica.
Before I play this, the reason for me to be playing this is as it relates to Bruce Golden, in terms of how Bruce Golden, right, was speaking to the Jamaica Labour Party administration, and particularly warning them of good governance. Yes, Bruce Golden was warning them of good governance, telling them to ensure that they do the people's will. Ensure that they do good by the people. Now let us listen, people. Go ahead.
Of public goodwill. He has exhibited a style, a commitment, an energy, and a determination that has resonated with the Jamaican people. But I want to make it very clear that that goodwill that he enjoys is very delicate. It's very fragile. It has to be handled with the utmost care. It is something that can vanish in the twinkling of an eye. So it has to be protected and preserved, because he is going to need it in order to mobilize the country to confront the many challenges that we face. And we are going to need the public goodwill that he enjoys when the next elections come around. When we mess up, when we screw up, he's the one that gets the blame, not us. He's the one that gets fried in our fat. If we do our job well, with integrity, and in the best interest, not of ourselves, but of the country, we not enhance it, we strengthen it. If we screw up in doing that job, if we make the mistake of believing that the assignment we have been given is something that we are entitled to because we are good laborers, if we believe that we are put there to pursue our own interests or feather our own nest, then we're letting down Andrew Holness. We're cold in the game. We must not let him down. I told him last week that he has accumulated political capital that I wished I had had. I said to him, as my leader, as my successor, and as my friend, you have that political capital. Don't be afraid to use it.
Take that away on it. Let me talk to our people. Brought forward from then until now. I know for sure that Bruce Golden is embarrassed. Bruce Golden asks the members of parliament and those who strongly support Andrew Holness that they must not let him down. However, what we have seen and what we have seen manifested is that Andrew Holness had let down himself. As a matter of fact, Andrew Holness from the onset in venture into the political environment, Andrew Holness had decided not to sign the code of conduct. Now, based on what Bruce Golden was saying to him, the first breach of good governance, because of course, his plan was premeditated in terms of enriching himself by any means necessary. And so then, instead of members of parliament who, as according to Bruce Golding, asking members of parliament to be supportive of him as it relates to good governance, Andrew Holness had lead the effort, I will not hesitate, in saying criminality and corruption. Why am I saying this? Criminality and corruption as it relates to what had happened with Andrew Holness while he was the Minister of Education, right? Awarding contracts, assist in the awarding of contracts to government. Brought forward from then until as we speak in between the period 20 to 2023, we have seen Andrew Holness running $470 million through various accounts, 28, and running that, rinsing that through 3 of his institutions, Imperium, Estate Bridge, and Positive Media. This is not Mystic Sensation is saying this, right? This is public information. Public information, right? But apart from that is the effort that we had observed and where we have clearly seen that Andrew Holness' effort in corrupting the criminal justice system. And so tonight, who we have under the microscope, none other than, of course, the Jamaican DPP, Paula Llewellyn. Now, is it that it is only our platform, social media platform, right, speaking about Paula Llewellyn and her corruption? No, it's not only social media platform, and we're going to prove it tonight. But what also we also have senior DPP, right, in the office of the public prosecution, who is going against Paula Llewellyn and saying that Paula Llewellyn is corrupt. Then let us ask the question. I mean, if Shark, right, go to the deep and come back on land to say that, look here, out there deep in a shark listener that experienced a deep, and the shark said, out there deep, then what are we to believe? Just say it, just using that phrase. However, I am saying that senior DPP, not one, is saying that Paula Llewellyn is corrupt. And we are going to prove that tonight. Now, apart from that, I mean, civil society, right? A portion of civil society is also concerned to say, hold on, Paula Llewellyn, based on what we are seeing here, all the red flags is showing that she's politically biased and outrightly corrupt. We have the evidence to prove tonight. Now, let us get into the first evidence as it relates to the concern and where Paula Llewellyn, the DPP office, as it relates to Paula Llewellyn, is now responding to, the treasure trove, the sea of allegation of her corruption. Look at how Paula Llewellyn found herself in this mess. But before we get into that, I want to show Jamaica people something, both locally and in the diaspora. that there were 5 DPPs prior to Paula Llewellyn. And none of those DPP had seek any extension and give the government any problem to step aside when their rightful time comes. The 5 DPPs that had serviced Jamaica, right, from independence until now, moved through the system smoothly. Simply mean that when their time comes, right, as it relates to the meeting office, right, they had gone through the process smoothly and gracefully. So let us ask ourselves the question, people. What special about Paula Llewellyn? What's special about Paula Llewellyn? Why Paula Llewellyn want to remain in office and so saying that, is she saying, let me ask this question, that there is no one there has the capacity, the capability, the tenacity like her to manage the office? She said the reason for her wanting the extension because of unfinished work. People, can you imagine that? Because of unfinished work. No. Those DPPs that went before, why they did not mention that, you know what, I need extension because I have unfinished work, as according to Paula Llewellyn. They moved through gracefully without any hesitation. Let me show the evidence. You know, whenever Mystic Sensation speak, we are going to present the evidence. Let us look on the evidence, people. So go to this past director's office of the director of public prosecution. We want to go through this now before we reach into the art of the corruption. We are doing it in a chronological sequence so that people can follow. Right? Let us go. Let us do this. The past director office of the director of public prosecution. All right. So we are going to show, right, that these past directors, as a matter of fact, right, has never spent 15 years in office. Never in the history, right, spent 15 years in office. Because we want to understand, you know, why the government is hell-bent on keeping the DPP. What is it about the DPP? Now let us read the past director, right? Now let us begin with Mr. William H. Swaby, QC, from 1962 to 1965, right? So Mr. William H. Swaby only spent 3 years in the DPP's office, right? Now, 1962, the year Jamaica gained independence from the British, Mr. Williams H. Swaby was appointed the independent state's first DPP. Swaby served in the post until 1965 before he was replaced by Huntley Monroe. So 3 years. This DPP, right, done his 3-year tenure. Let us go to Mr. Huntley Monroe. We are doing it in chronological sequence here. Mr. Huntley Monroe, from 1965 to 1968, people, what you notice? Another 3 years, right? He was a forward line member of St. George's College, 1962, right there, 1927, champion Manning Cup football team, reputedly one of the best in his history of the Manning Cup. He was a barrister of law, right? He was an assistant clerk of courts in 1934, a deputy clerk of court in 1944, a clerk of the courts in 1951, a crown counsel in 1956, acted as an assistant attorney general, and was a deputy director of public prosecution from 1962 to 1964 before becoming director of public prosecution in 1965. Mr. Huntley stood his time and move on gracefully. I am showing people the history now, why people need to understand what is going on with the Jamaica Labour Party government. right, wanting to keep Paula Llewellyn. And let me tell you, people, Paula Llewellyn, let me warn you, I've been warning you, because we know that the SSL case to come out, We know very well that the SSL case is unfinished, and the SSL case has all of the skeletons. But we are warning you, Paula Llewellyn. We are warning you. We are watching you. Okay, let me get down. Let us look at Claudius Henry, right? While DPP, right, his private papers, including corresponding regarding prime ministerial attempt at interference in the exercise of his prosecutorial discretion to bring charges against prominent politicians of the day, and his forthright but respectful rejection of the attempt. He then retired in 1968. Now, let us look on Mr. James Carr, right? Mr. James Carr from 1968 to 1977. If you calculate that, that would be roughly about what? 9 years, right? 9 years, right? Now let us read, right? Mr. Carr joined the legal service as an associate clerk of court in 1940 after he was called to the bar in Lincoln's Inn. He served as clerk of court, resident magistrate, and legal attaché to the Jamaican High Commission in London. His legal prose, including 17 consecutive victories in the Privy Council, boy, I think ISAT BUCHANAN alone and bad in the Privy Council. Here we have a DPP, you understand, who are done. Remember, CTL people, right? And I'm a six sensation to make up this. So this man has brought several cases through the Privy Council and was successful. Here it is. His legal prowess, including 70 consecutive victories in the Privy Council. Chief Justice Attorney Smelly noted that Lord Dpp'S considered Mr. Justice Carr to be the only true authority on the Jamaica Constitution. Now, this man bowed gracefully and look at his achievement. Paula Llewellyn has never, let us speak, has never won a case at the Privy Council. Has never. Paula Llewellyn's performance cannot meet with Mr. James Carr's performance. Can never, no way, shape, nor form the accolades around Mr. James Carr. History goes to prove. Let us ask the question again. Why the Jamaica Labour Party administration is bent on keeping Paula Llewellyn, right, who has failed, right, in many circumstances. Paula Llewellyn, who has failed in terms of what we are proving tonight, right, never can reach the hallmark of these persons. Now let us look on the Honorable Mr. Justice Ian Xavier Fort, right, from 1977 to 1988, right? Another 10 years right then and there, right? In July 2007, Fort was mandated by the then Minister of National Security, Dr. Peter Phillips, to review investigation into the controversial death of Pakistan cricket coach Bob Woolmer and present a report. He then became the judge of the Court of Appeal and ultimately president of the Court of Appeal. Currently retired and up to July 2011 was sitting as a member of the Cayman Island Court of Appeal. Now look at that. The accolades around these, right, former DPP, greater than Paula Llewellyn, cannot come close. Let us look on Mr. Glenn Andrade. From 1988 to 1998, another 10 years, right? Service time and bowed out gracefully and never seek an extension. He joined the office of the DPP as an assistant Crown Counsel and rose to the top in 1988. He died on Thursday, September 17, 2009, at age of 72. He was described as a very strong and effective leader, unflinching and led from the front. Whilst a very good leader, he was also very humane, as he was very encouraging and supportive of young prosecutors and always reminded prosecutors that as Crown Counsel, you are operating in the public interest. Now, let me say something to you, Mr. Glenn Andrade, although you died and gone. Andrade, let me say this. Paula Llewellyn is not working in the public interest. Paula Llewellyn is working in the political interest and specifically Andrew Holness' interest, to protect Andrew Holness by any means necessary. Paula Llewellyn, you are going to get yourself in trouble. Paula, you are going to get yourself in trouble. Now, let us look at the fifth prior to Paula. This is the person who stepped away gracefully and allowed Paula to take the office. This man, not one of them seek an extension. In November 2007, right, Mr. Ken S. Pantry, CDQC, 1998 to 2008, right? Another 10 years. Now, when you look at that, in November 2007, he marshaled evidence vigorously in the coroner's inquest hearing at the controversial death of the Pakistan cricket coach, Bob Woolmer. He was then appointed as interim dean to spearhead the development and implementation of the Faculty of Law of the University of Technology in 2008. He was appointed as dean of Faculty of Law of the University of Technology in 2009, August 31, 2011. Let us speak, my people. Mr. Ken S. Pantry, step away and allow Paula Llewellyn, right, to grace the stage. Let us bring up that so that the people can see as it relates to the DPP response. So we are saying that it is not only social media speaking about Paula Llewellyn corruption. Now, this coming out of the office of the Director of Public Prosecution, Paula Llewellyn is in response, right, to, right, the allegations of her being corrupted, media release, re-allegation by certain entities of failure of the office of the Director of the Public Prosecution, right, to prosecute 40 referrals sent from the office of the Contractor General. So people, look at this. The office of the Contractor General, right, that merged itself or merged itself into the Integrity Commission Act 2017, right? And so this was prior, right, to the Integrity Commission Act 2017. So I want people to be mindful of that and the allegations of Paula Llewellyn with her level of corruption. Now, let us go to bulletin point 1. Recently, complaints have surfaced in the media concerning the ODPP's failure to prosecute some 40 referrals that were sent by the OCG, Office of the Contractor General. These referrals were forwarded to the ODPP during the tenure of the former Contractor General, Mr. Greg Christie, who submitted official reports to Parliament and issued public statement mischaracterizing the nature of these referrals and criticizing the posture of the ODPP in its decision not to prosecute these matters. So Paula Llewellyn is saying here that Greg Christie mischaracterized, right, the nature of the referrals and criticizing the posture of the ODPP in its decision not to prosecute these matters. Go ahead, Sister Paula. I have in the past, so this is Paula is explaining now. I have in the past sought to explain in the public domain and the relevant authorities the true nature and character of these matters. And in fact, on request, forwarded a full report to Parliament on May 6, 2015, seeking to correct the misperception and explain the true position. Now, what is the misconception and true position that you want to explain? Several cases had mounted to you, Paula. We're going to prove them tonight. Prove how corrupt you are. that the office of the contractor general, right, wasn't misinterpreting, right, the issue at hand. The issue at hand, Paula Llewellyn, is that obviously, right, you have made every effort, right, not to prosecute these cases. And this is what we are talking about, selective justice that you have been demonstrated from time to time. It is indeed unfortunate that this allegation has resurfaced in some sections of the media, reflecting utterances from Professor Monroe of National Integrity Action and Miss Phillips of Capri, a research think tank headed by Dr. Domain King of the University of the West Indies. Right? Now, going forward as often as these mischaracterizations appear in the media, I consider it my duty as DPP to seek to disabuse the public of this unfortunate perception, which seems to insinuate that the DPP and its officers have some sort of entrenched impartiality in the prosecution of corruption cases. And while you can use your pretty word, Paula Llewellyn, right, we know that you are corrupt.
Of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn, if you haven't heard, the Court of Appeal has cleared the way effectively for Paula Llewellyn to resume her duties as DPP. DPP, I want to play for you a clip, and then I have a question for you after. Here's a clip.
When you can have a report that says that 6 people are being investigated for illicit enrichment, it means that then take the government, the public money and enrich themselves. And that it means, you know. And when you have something like that coming up and the government is going to try and attack the body that is put in place to deal with these things that is putting out the report, it must be kakistocracy. The director of public prosecution inserted herself in the matter before the investigation complete. She started criticizing the Integrity Commission, and therefore I stand from this platform and say, Paula Llewellyn, go your yard. Nobody don't want you continue in the office because you've already shown your colors.
That's the General Secretary of the People's National Party, Dr. Dayton Campbell. DPP, in that clip, he says, you have already shown your colors. And I wonder if you worry that going forward now, there is this taint, this allegation that you are biased politically towards the government.
Mr. Brooks, you are talking to Paula Llewellyn, who one of the first acts of my office was to oversee and represent the U.S. government in the extradition of Mr. Coke. You're talking to the person who had to make the decision to have a search warrant issued for a minister of government. Was it Joseph? I can't remember his last name, in terms of my role as the authority for mutual legal assistance. Joseph, he was a junior minister.
Joseph Hibbert.
Joseph Hibbert. Mm-hmm. Under, I think it was a JLP, yes, a JLP government. I am very faithful to the code of conduct of a prosecutor. I've been a prosecutor for 40 years. I was a prosecutor long before Dr. Campbell probably even did medicine. I just look young. I have prosecuted and made decisions in many I know I can stand on my record of 40 years as a prosecutor, having done a variety of cases.
Do you plan to initiate any legal proceedings against Dayton Campbell for those comments that he made?
Listen, certainly not. You know, I was certainly not. Why would I do that?
Hold on. Let me ask you. Certainly not. Because you can't pursue any form of legal thing. We will prove it. You know that we will prove it, and tonight you come to prove it. Now, when Paula Llewellyn is explained to the Jamaican people that, okay, she's not biased, because of course she aided in the assistance with the United States to oversee the extradition of Mr. Coke. Paula Llewellyn, you are disingenuous to Jamaican people. And let me tell you why you are disingenuous to the Jamaican people. Number one, that case with Dpp'S Coke, you couldn't have done any better because you were under the pressure of the United States. So don't come and fool people. Don't come and fool people. You're under the pressure of the United States because Bruce Golding was asked to resign. That was how tremendous the pressure was. So that you as a DPP couldn't do otherwise. You don't have to work with what the United States instructed for you to do. So don't come and make it look like, right? You're instrumental in bringing forth justice as it relates to Dpp'S. Don't bother do it. You know you are disingenuous, Paula. You were under tremendous pressure from the United States. If the United States did not involve, you wouldn't have. We know that. And tonight we have the evidence to show you that if the United States did not involve in that, you wouldn't have prosecuted, right? As it relates to Dpp'S. You wouldn't have. You wouldn't have. We know that, right? So don't use the United States case with Dpp'S to say, oh no, I am not biased because I assisted in the United States extradition with Dpp'S. Don't do that, Paul. Don't do that around here. You understand? We know better. All right, so let us take that out of the room. Now, Paula Llewellyn, boy, we are going to get into the case to show the entire world, right? How political bias you are. You see? You went on CNN, you went on Big Mama, you went on Big Mama, right? To tell Jamaica, to put the whole over Jamaican eye, that no, I am not bad. I am not bad, right? Because Big Mama is the spin machine for the Jamaican Labour Party. But we are going to mash them up tonight. And I want people to share out this to Big Mama. Show Big Mama the evidence. I want to make sure so the people must say, see, people, I want you to look on these photographs. Because tonight a bangarang, people. Tonight a bangarang. Now, DPP Paula Llewellyn should be dismissed for judiciary misconduct. Right? Jamaica Voice, November 14, 2022. Look who are featured here. The DPP, Tom Tavares, Patrick Bailey. Boy. What they call it, man in time? Hugging time. That's a man in time. Hugging time. People not looking on. Look on the four of them. DPP, Tom Tavares, Patrick Bailey, and hugging time. Now, let us go through. Paula Vanessa Llewellyn, CDKC, is a Jamaican lawyer who served as the country's Director of Public Prosecutions in office since 2008. The job of the DPP is to be impartial. Of course, any DPP around the world, in any society, right? The responsibility of the DPP to be impartial, right? You should not have selective justice whether it benefits the Jamaica Labour Party or it benefits the People's National Party, right? You must act on the tandem of your oaths. It is high time Paula Llewellyn be called out for her blatant bias and cronyism. People want to hear that? In Jamaica, firearm holders can be charged for negligence in the loss or theft of a firearm. But negligence must be present. Let us speak, people. They are getting there. Member of Parliament Philip Palwell is about to be charged by the DPP for negligence for the theft of his firearm from his vehicle in July 22. Paula Llewellyn is serious that he's going to charge Philip Palwell, right? Now we are going to talk about selective justice, you know. Now, but look here. Powell reported the matter to police as required by law to do so. As required by law, if you lose your firearm, you should report it to the police. Powell had done that. People, I want you to follow the case. So the question asks, where is the negligence? Now, let us look at Paula's history in carrying out her duty as DPP and a similar gun theft case of other politicians. Now we are talking about now selective justice, getting into the realm of selective justice, where Paula Llewellyn is concerned. Now, look here, people. 2 GLP members, picture above, right? And we see the picture of them above, reported the theft of their firearms, plural, from their homes, and they were not charged. Now, people, now look on that, you know, people. Philip Palwell, gun was stolen. Philip Palwell reported it, and the DPP charged Philip Palwell. Now, watch this now, people. 2 GLP members, pictured above, reported the theft of their firearms, likewise, as it relates to what Palwell did, right, from their homes, and they were not charged. Now, Robert Montague, GLP member of Parliament of Western St. Mary, reported the theft of 2 guns from his home. Let me get into it. Police to question GLP chairman following theft of his weapon. This was July 29, 2013. Give the people, you have the evidence, you know. Paula Llewellyn, you never know, so we have the evidence, you know. Let me ask you, Paula, you never know, so we have the evidence, you know. Robert Montague, GLP chairman. Dr. Paris, GLP Senate president, reported 2 firearms stolen from his home. Tavares is the father-in-law of the late Dog Pa. Tavares also represented Vybz Kartel in his murder case. Senate president's guns stolen. Now, detective assigned to the St. Andrew North Police Division have launched a probe into the theft of the 2 guns from the home of Tom Tavares Finson, president of the Senate. Patrick Bailey, this barred attorney, was the lawyer of the Prime Minister Andrew Holness in 2016. We get to it, people. When the body of Bailey's roommate, Jermaine Jr., was found in Bailey's living room with gunshot wound to the head and stab wounds to the body. Now, according to the police, there was no forced entry and no other occupants in the home. Bailey said he stumbled on the body in the wee hours of the morning and did not hear anything suspicious or unusual. My. Bailey has not been charged and made to face a jury. Now, hold on. I want to speak something here now, and we are doing further investigation. And let me say this to you, Paula Llewellyn. I say it now tonight because I know you're listening. I want you to hear. We have seen that you make some phone calls to Patrick Bailey, you know. And let me say this to you, DPP. We are doing further investigation, so prepare. I've seen that you make some phone calls to Patrick Bailey. So obviously, we know that, right, you have some relationship with Patrick Bailey. Let me say that. Now, he was sent in bed rest by doctors. Bailey is an affiliate of the Jamaica Labour Party. I prove the evidence them tonight. The DPP must tell Jamaica why she hasn't charged JLP members Montague and Tavares for 2 stolen firearms each. Why she did not charge Patrick Bailey for murder. And what constitutes negligence in the case of Mr. Palwell, whose firearm was stolen from his vehicle, which was reported to the police, and yet, Paul Llewellyn, you charge Paul well. That's about you know bias. Me and you tonight. Paul well should challenge Paula's decision. She should tell the country why Paul should be charged, but not Montague and Tavares, who lost 4 firearms altogether. Come on, Paul. Come on. Let me just go to the panel, Brother Rattigan, because we have more evidence to prove here. Brother Rattigan.
Yeah, you made a statement and I was just making a phone call to arrange some things, you know, so I was told to call back. So
Thank you, sir.
we'll see how things work out.
Brother
But,
Rattigan,
yes,
let
sir.
me ask you, based on what I read a while ago, would you summarize that as selective justice, or you believe that justice was fair and balanced as it relates to Paulwell being charged and Tavares and having tied were not charged, committing the same offense? Please go ahead and take us through your
Yeah,
observation.
on the face of it, it would appear as if there was some injustice done. On the face of it, she may have some information that we don't know about, but what the information we know about, it certainly wasn't fair. It wasn't equal justice under the law. And she came out when the gentleman there asked her the question. She started out. She paused, and then she started out in a weird way, you know, as if she was kind of challenging him and saying that she's been a prosecutor for 40 years. But you can't be doing something for 40 years and do it wrong, you know. Just because you're doing it for a long time doesn't mean you've been doing it the right way. And sometimes you need people to tell you that you need to do a course correction. Because, you know, when you sit in that ivory tower and you think that you're it, you know, and you make all the decisions, you're not always right. We're only human. We're subject to all kinds of frailties. Frailties of the mind, frailties of the spirit, frailties of the soul, frailties of the body. And for somebody to think that because they occupy a certain position for a long time, they don't make mistakes, I think it's a sad commentary on that person. She also said that she assisted with the extradition of Mr. Coke. Now, I find it quite interesting because if you recall, that wasn't a smooth sailing.
Exactly.
It wasn't smooth sailing. You know, the American government had to pull some strings and push and all of that stuff. So if she was assisting and she's going to take credit for it, the question then is, why did we have the hiccups? You're the DPP. You're the DPP, and you're claiming that, hey, I have the power. I can do this. I can do that under the Constitution. And you know, you're right. So why did we have the hiccups? Why didn't you just say, hey, look, guys, we need to sign this extradition order. We need to get this off of our desk and just send this man on his merry way to face justice elsewhere? Why? So you cannot believe anything this lady said, because when a person is going to tell you that I've been doing this job for 40 years, and by the way, I've been working with tainted juries. It colors the whole that thing. It's like she just big up herself and said, I've been working for 40 years. And anybody doing something for 40 years, you kind of give them the blind and say, well, they know what they're doing. But then when she turned around and said, well, then, you know, I've worked with tainted jurors. And then she said, and by the way, it's not just me, it's me and my assistant, Jeremy. At the two we had do it long time. And when she said things like that, you know, poor Jeremy. Jeremy must sit down there and cringe now. Feel bad for him. Because who knows, Jeremy might not have been involved in any of this, and she just threw him out there, you know? Or maybe he has been. But no, the idea that she would prosecute Philip Paulwell. And again, people, this has nothing to do with, just look at it objectively. And in fact, I think that's the piece of show said that the DPP is supposed to be objective, something to that effect.
Yes.
And right. And if you look at it objectively, it doesn't matter who commits the crime. Once the crime is committed, you have a certain job to do as DPP, which is to prosecute. Or some people would say investigate and prosecute, but the investigation is usually done by the police. But it's at the very least we know it's to prosecute. And then you prosecute one person, and two people commit essentially the same act, negligence. Right? It wasn't intentional, negligence, and then we don't see anything. We don't see them dragged before the court, and so we have to ask why, and we haven't gotten a straight answer yet, as to why this happened. But we can see a pattern and practice of her doing this. I know sometimes you do a job too long at a time for you to move on, because you get stale. And you start, depending on your game anymore. You need to move on. So the idea that she's been doing it for 40 years, I would give her credit. But then when she turn around and say, well, I've been working with tainted jurors, then I have to give her a demerit. I have to say, no, this can't be right. So no, again, you hit the nail upon the head. Your wife, you do the right thing, you hit the nail right upon the head, and show say, hey, here it is that we have 3 cases. Similar act, similar crime. One person is prosecuted and the other 2 are not prosecuted. And she's yet to come forward and say, look, there's a distinction between these 3 cases, or these 2 and this one over here. And here's the distinction. Here's why I chose to prosecute this one case over here.
Yes.
Declined to prosecute the 2 cases over here. We haven't gotten that. And as a public, we need to know these things.